Oh, there are two factions within the same party. There's one faction, let's call them the establishment Republicans, who play by the rules. Even if they disagree with the Democrats, think of the top Senate Republican, Mitch McConnell, they still follow the procedures of government. They still respect the decisions of courts, of Congress itself. Then there's another faction who are the Trumpists. And the Trumpists, like the president, don't really play by the rules. They don't believe, for example, that the election was binding. They don't believe in the power of the courts necessarily. They don't even believe in Congress at times if it rules against their men in the White House. And remember, those Trumpists, 6 of them senators and 121 representatives, more than 60% of the Republican membership of the House, still voted after the violence, after the turmoil, after the deaths on Wednesday, to go along with Donald Trump in refusing to recognize President-elect Joe Biden. They include figures like Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, who ran for the presidency in 2016 and would like to do so in 2024. So well after Donald Trump leaves office, and as he struggles to have some influence, that story of the divide in the Republican Party and the consequences for the U.S. system is going to be one of the leading ones in 2021.
What do you make of the comparison that we just heard there from Schwarzenegger to what happened at the Capitol, to what happened to the Night of Broken Glass under German rule, the Nazi rule? Is that a fair comparison?
Well, I'm always careful not to reach for Nazi Germany because it is so emotive. But I watched that full video from Schwarzenegger, and it is incredibly powerful because it's not just talking about the Night of Broken Glass. He's talking about how Nazism led to World War II, and he's talking about the consequences in his home country, Austria, and others afterwards, that emotional shock. And what he's saying is that people, not because they were necessarily all evil, but because they wanted to believe in something, were led by evil people who incited hate and who incited violence. So without using the word Nazi Germany, what I would say is in 2021, that the danger of following those who incite hate, incite violence, has been seen in the past week. And the danger of walking over your system, of saying that the rules don't matter, that the courts don't matter, that the legislators don't matter, we've seen that not only for the past week, we've seen it for years in the United States. I'm hopeful we'll have a better 2021, but this is the most important period in American history since the U.S. Civil War.
When we talk about what's important, how important is it that, as Nancy Pelosi said, that the Democrats pursue this line of impeachment? Because there have been some calls for Congress to say, you know, just let it go. Let's try and let a nation heal. There's 9 days left. What do you make of that?
Well, I think at the very least, Trump should be censured, which is not quite as serious as impeachment for what he's done. However, even though we know that there will be no trial by January 20th, because the Senate Republican Mitch McConnell will not allow it, impeachment serves 3 purposes. First, symbolically, it draws a line. This is the first time a president will be charged with incitement of violence in U.S. history. And this impeachment says, we can't let this happen again. Secondly, it sends a practical message to U.S. agencies who are dealing with an unstable Trump, which is make sure he does not do anything rash, contain him in the last 10 days. For example, Pelosi asked the top military representative, General Mark Milley, don't let him start a war. And thirdly, it's a reach out by Democrats to some of the Republicans that Colin, your correspondent, was talking about, which is, look, we know your party's split, but we need to agree beyond Democratic and Republican that there are lines to be drawn. We need to get back to what is acceptable and unacceptable in politics. For all those reasons, even though we may see a trial of Donald Trump not in the next 10 days, but in the spring or summer, because it would strip him of the perks of having been a president, I think it is an important move.